Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX agency. Check us out. And I'm totally unprepared for today's office hours. Ask me anything. I don't have any of my screens up. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm totally unprepared. 6:30 just snuck up on me. I'm in all these private messages with Darren Hood, and the time is melting away. And hi. So if you have a question for me, please put it in the chat, or you can put it in anonymously, deltacx.link/ask, which means I am still testing my system today, which usually happens before you see me. But I am, let's see, okay, effects are ready. And let's see, effects almost ready. And we do have some questions that came in ahead of time, so I'm going to start with those. But generally, I am here for an hour, and I take whatever questions that you have. All questions welcome. No questions turned down. No questions are stupid. So let's take a look at our first question. Hi, Debbie. Do you have any thoughts on the blog, Boxes and Arrows? Not many. I don't make time to read blogs. I went over to Boxes and Arrows after you said that. Looked like some good stuff. Maybe the chat room can say if they read Boxes and Arrows and if they feel like it's good quality stuff. But I have to admit, I do not make time to read a lot of stuff. I have not usually read all the books. I have not usually read all the articles. And many of you know I am not hanging out on Reddit, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, etc. So certainly no negative thoughts on Boxes and Arrows, but I honestly don't read it. Is it even in my feed reader? I do have a feed reader where I pull in some blogs, and I wonder if I've been reading it and not knowing it. Let me check. Yikes. Marketing. Let's see. UX blogs. I have 29 blogs. Boxes and Arrows is on there. I have to admit that is, so I've got 29 blogs in a feed reader that are all UX stuff, and so I'm just generally browsing headlines. I guess sometimes I'm seeing Boxes and Arrows. Oh, so again, no real opinion. Hello, Charlene. Okay, so sorry, no opinion, but hopefully as people join, they'll tell us what they think. Let's move to the next question, and I'm just getting my list ready. And this person says, do you think there's a difference between product design and UX design? I think that's going to be in the eye of the beholder. I think there are many jobs right now where UX design and product design are the same thing. I think there are jobs where they are different things. I think there are jobs where they are extremely different things. And I think there are jobs where they are the same thing, and it's not what we would want either of them to be. I think there are jobs where they are both visual designers who sometimes make wireframes. I've seen them be jobs where they expect you to research, code. We're at the point where titles are all over the place and don't make sense. And in fact, tomorrow we're going to be doing a live brainstorming of what our titles should be so that we can make them more meaningful. Just a fun kind of brainstorm. What the heck should this even be? So we're going to look at that tomorrow. Join Wednesday, August 4th for that. But do I think there's a difference? Kinda. If you look at my article, what did I call it? The coming correction and shift in CX and UX. I believe that product design is going to move more towards production design, where it's going to be people who are just taking orders and doing what the requirements say and quickly making wireframes so engineering can build it without a real UX process. So I think that we're going to see product design mean that more and more. I think we're mostly going to see those jobs looking for people who know Figma and Sketch and have visual design portfolios. They're not going to assess candidates for research or information architecture or other things. I think that's where product design is headed. I think where UX design is headed is unfortunately kind of close, but you know, there you go. There you go. I think the same person might have asked, how would you describe UX or product design to middle schoolers? Okay, so middle school in America would be 7th or 8th grade. So that might be kids who are what, 12, 13, 14? Yeah, I mean, my boyfriend's cousin is 12 and he would get it. So So let's abandon what I think UX and product design are. Let's see, how would I describe CX and UX to someone who is 12? Normally what I do, especially because many 12-year-olds have smartphones, depending upon where you live, obviously that's going to be regional. But if a 12-year-old has a smartphone, I find it's pretty easy to explain CX or UX to them. I say, hey, have you ever tried an app that was just crappy to use? It was hard to figure out. It kind of didn't do what you needed it to do, and maybe you just uninstalled it. And usually they can think of something like that. Or, hey, have you ever been using Instagram and you thought something about it was really confusing to use, and maybe you hit the wrong button? You know, you meant to write a post, but you accidentally went to Reels. Yeah, okay, yeah. Go, hey, well, when they hire people like me, we would have laid that out differently. We would have researched people like you to learn, how do you use these things? And what's the main things you're trying to do in an app like Instagram or whatever. And then we would use design and psychology and laying things out to make this easy for you. That's usually some variation of what I say to non-UX people. Like I once explained what we do to a pharmacist. I said, hey, do you have like a system back there that you hate using because it's impossible to put the information in the right fields and it's just so time consuming? She's like, yeah. I said, well, people like me fix things like that. We meet people like you. We research with you to see how you use the system day to day in your job. We learn how it could be more efficient or easier to learn and use. And then we redesign it so that it matches your needs better. And everyone goes, yeah, I wish I had that. So that's usually the way that I explain, the short version of CX and UX to a younger person or an older person or someone who's not in our industry. How about you in the chat room? How do you explain what we do to people who are young or old or outside of our worlds? The next question I got anonymously, and again, send in your questions. I'm here to answer them. Questions are free, no charge. The tip jar is optional. Someone sent in, what are your thoughts about the rose, bud, and thorn exercise? Now, I hadn't heard of that before, so I went and Googled it. And the first thing I found was that it was... the first thing I found said like, oh, this is an exercise for children or for teaching where you can help people identify things they can improve. And I was like, how is this related to UX? So then I put in Rosebud Thorn UX, and I ended up on a UX design Medium article. And basically what they tried to say was that the rose is what's working well. The thorn is what's not working well, a pain point. And the bud is the opportunity to create a rose with some cultivation. And I think I saw another variation of this that was like, the bud was, what could I improve to get more roses? Ultimately, this reminds me a lot of the Agile Retro. Anybody having flashbacks of Agile Retros where we're all supposed to get together and say, in our last sprint, what went well, what didn't go well, and what can we improve in our next sprint? So I don't have any particular tie or affinity for a rosebud thorn exercise or how you would end up turning that into a workshop or whatever. I think it's okay to just ask people what's going well, what's not going well, and where are our opportunities and insights and room for improvement. I think it's okay to use grown-up words for that. I don't think we have to call it rose, bud, and thorn, and I don't think we have to call it carrot and steak and stick and candy corn. I think we don't have to dumb this down or pretty it up. I think it's fine to say this is what's working for our customers or our team. This is what's going well. This is what's not working. These are the pain points or issues or whatever. Here's what could be improved. These are our findings, our insights, our opportunities. I think again, if, as you heard me say in episode 116, check the live stream podcasts playlist. I believe the more that we can use standard business language for things, the more that we're going to be understood and accepted and respected in a world where we're sometimes not accepted and respected. Why not just say, here are things that are going well. Here are pain points. Here are our opportunities and insights. And we don't have to say like, here are our buds. Here are our thorns. You know, maybe if you want to teach little kids something and you want to use simple words or whatever, go ahead. But mommy, wow, I'm a big boy now. Yuvra says, yes, I have one today afternoon. Boy, am I struggling with agile. I know, agile is not always our friend. Dennis Lees, hi Dennis, says, I just wanted to say I found you in the Delta CX book recently. It's been extremely valuable. Thank you. Your experience and insight really stands out. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Well, come hang out on our show. We're live 3 or so times a week. Of course, please subscribe, ring the bell, empathize with the like button, leave some comments when the stream is over to help in the algorithm. And of course, we've got a Slack channel that's totally free, Slack Workspace. We've got about 100 active people at any given time, though we have over 800 members. So deltacx.link/join Slack. Our friend in Berlin is here, Clouder9. Retros, they always disappeared into the ether, the retro spirit never to be discussed again. Very unfortunately true. Everywhere I've ever worked, we had a retro. We talked about what went right and what went wrong, and then what went wrong was never fixed or improved. And I was just like, oh, well, what was the point of that? Hooray. Hooray, that was a ceremony. We had our ceremony and we didn't freaking learn from our mistakes. We're idiots and we're not agile. So that's what I think about Rosebud and Thorn. Thank you for the super interesting questions that have come in ahead of time through the deltacx.link/ask anonymous universe. And we got one more that came in that way, and then I'm caught up. So get your questions out there. All questions welcome, even the scary ones you're afraid to ask. If you don't want to type them in the chat room or you want to talk about your job, send it through deltacx.link/ask and you can send a question anonymously. Whereas here, I yell out people's names. The question says, besides Don Norman, who else do you think we should know about, learn from, or admire when it comes to UX? Well, I would say in general, I think a lot of the guests we've had on the show, we've rarely had a bad guest. We've had some pretty good luck with guests. So go into the live stream podcasts playlist and take a look at some of the people who've been guests and, you know, make the call for yourself. See if you felt like you connected with them. But as for me, in addition to Don Norman, everyone knows I greatly admire Larry Marine. His work is inscrutable, I think would be the right word. I'm certainly a fan of Darren Hood and his passion, and Dr. Nick and his passion for the sport of UX. Who do I admire? Really love Stephanie Walter's stuff. You know, we have her on the show a lot, and sometimes it ends up being a little fun, but like she's just such a solid practitioner. She's great. Who else do I admire? Yeah, some of you, I mean, really, some of you low ego action heroes have been inspiring to me. I'm so happy to see up and coming people and hi Darren, up and coming people and juniors really pushing hard to make change in organizations. Wilson was announcing in our Slack channel today that he's actually going to do some research at his new job. They're going to let him research, and we're all celebrating with him. I just got to meet in a phone call Destiny Elise, and if anyone's watching, why haven't you hired her? It's Destiny with an I on the end, and then Elise. Look her up on LinkedIn. She's got a job. Offer her a job. That's all you need to know. These people inspire me, and lots of you. I can't name everybody. Anita, Kayleen, Ralitza, very inspiring. Darren says Dr. Seth. Well, Dr. Seth is a tough one for me because he's been one of my best friends since I was 17. So yes, Dr. Seth is someone I admire greatly, but it's like, I almost don't think of him now because he's just been such a standard guy in my life. So you're right, Dr. Seth, for sure. Oh, hi, Destiny. Everyone hire Destiny, everyone at the same time, and offer her a lot of money. Yeah, I guess that's some of the people who I admire and learn from. I've definitely learned the most from Larry Marine in the last couple of years. I've learned a bit from Deborah Gill Hesselgrave. She's just a super lovely person, very smart, a great person to know. Not posting on LinkedIn so much anymore, but she's lurking out there. We had her on the show last year talking about Lean Six Sigma's cost of poor quality. Um, Oh yeah, Darren says Michelle Ronson. Yeah, she's been a super resource on the show and great expert. We know we can turn to for no BS, so that's a good one too. I know a lot of people like Joel Barr. His videos are always very popular when we have him as a guest. Um, People who've helped me become a better person: Amy Dalton, Ralitza, Julia Denoto. Who pointed out things I got wrong and helped me become a better person. The person we had in the episode on resilience was at episode 61. She helped me become a better person because I tried the things she talked about in the episode and they worked. So yeah. Darren says William and Tim. I don't know him that well. We had him on the show, and it was a super episode, but I have to admit I don't know him that well. Yeah, there are a lot of wonderful people out there, but I think you can probably tell I tend to gravitate towards the no bullshit people who, even if they do have something to sell you, still want to help you. Because Michelle has courses she wants to sell. That's fine. We're all capitalists. Okay. But she's also here to give you help and information. And that's the core of it. There are definitely some people and some fake gurus out there who seem to pretend to help you or write a lot of words on LinkedIn. And then it's like, and join my paid club. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You didn't even say anything helpful. So remember, everybody, my clickbait test, among other things: meaningful, actionable, helpful. If someone posts something on LinkedIn, even if it's very long and has many letters, if it's not meaningful, if you can't take action because of it, could be clickbait. So you judge for yourself. Darren says, I'm so happy we have a wealth of resources to draw from. We really do. We have so many Oh, Abby, how can I forget Abby Covert? Abby Covert, endlessly cool and inspiring and intelligent, and working on her second book, which she's now, she announced she's calling Stuck. And it's diagrams to kind of solve your messes and problems. I also have gotten to work with her. I like her a lot. So yeah, big thumbs up for Abby Covert. And really anybody flying a proper information architecture flag. Jorge, yeah, right. Anybody flying the good flag and not flying the design thinking flag. And not the lean UX flag, boo. And not the everybody's a designer flag, boo. So, yeah. Thanks for asking. It's a fun question, and I'm glad we all got involved. We've got a question from Ekta. Let me copy and paste that into my list of questions. And again, this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything, and you are welcome to ask me anything. Ekta says, I can put it up on the screen since this is YouTube. All right. What's the secret to your productivity and time management? Well, certainly not a secret, since I'm going to tell you. But thank you for asking, and thank you for noticing. I do tend to get it done. So let's talk about a few of the things that I do. And we've also got a question from Clowder. Hold on, Ms. Clowder. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about time management and productivity. So first of all, I am definitely a good multitasker and juggler. Not everybody is. That's okay. I'm also very good at estimating time. My boyfriend's the kind of guy, I love him endlessly. He's like, I give him a 98 out of 100. He is near perfection in skin, but he's the kind of guy who will say like, oh, that's just 50 meters away, and it's like 2 miles. Or he'll say, I'm ready in 10 minutes, and it's like an hour. And so he has like a wacky sense of time and space. I've gotten used to it. Now I have to correct for it, but I have a good sense of time. If I estimate something's going to take me 2 hours, it usually takes me 2 hours. And you can get there too. Just start, when you do things, run a timer or a set of timers, and you'll start to see, how long does this usually take me? Okay, now I know. Now I know what my multiplication factor is, or I know how long this takes. So you can definitely get there. But I think first of all, I was naturally pretty good at these things. I'm naturally very organized. So these are things that definitely help with my productivity and time management. I don't have a lot of distractions in my life. I think that is huge. I've got my boyfriend. Usually there's one dog in the house, Olivia, if you follow my dogs on Instagram. The other 4 live outside. Olivia is indoors and outdoors. She changes her mind all day. But I purposefully had no children. I kind of don't have parents, and so there's nobody really looking for me. If my phone rings, it's spam almost 100% of the time, unless I see my boyfriend's face come up on the phone. Nobody is looking for me, so I have very few distractions. I also deleted Facebook over 3.5 years ago. I don't do Twitter, so I really limit my social media as well so that it's not a distraction. I look at Instagram when I wake up, and I look at Instagram when I go to sleep, and then I kind of don't look at it during the day, maybe sometimes during lunch. I watch YouTube videos at lunch. I watch them at night before I go to bed. So I've eliminated a lot of distractions that can keep me from being productive. I use a lot of Google calendaring. So I've got lots of different colors and reminders. If there's anything I want to do, I put it in as a reminder. Don't forget to pay this bill. Don't forget to follow up with this person. Don't forget to apply to that conference. Everything is in Google Calendar. If it's not in Google Calendar, it probably doesn't get done. Even though I have a good memory, I can forget things. So everything in Google Calendar with reminders that go off on my phone, they go off on my computer. And I'm not a snooze person, so either I will reschedule that and be bugged again, but I don't keep hitting snooze. I either do it when it comes up or I reschedule it for when I can do it. And I also color code things by, can I reschedule this? That way I know, no, this is a hard deadline. I've got to do this versus, all right, I can move that one out a little bit. Productivity, time management, low distractions. You also have to find something to motivate and inspire you. Very often we're at jobs where we're not very inspired by what we're doing. We're doing something businessy. We feel like we're not changing the world, and we feel like, what's the point? But I think you have to find something in every project, that will give you that motivation or inspiration. Hey, this might just be an e-commerce app, but I'm going to make someone's purchase experience better. I'm going to make them happier with this company. I'm going to make them not need to call customer support. I'm going to make someone's day go a little bit better. And you can be inspired by simple things like that. Am I going in the right direction? Is this what you wanted to hear, Ekta? Am I helping, or is this like way off target, or am I totally irrelevant here? Help me out. Am I missing questions coming in? Yes. Okay, there's a new question coming in. I'll go catch that one while we see that. So I don't know. Am I missing anything? Honey, the question was, what's the secret to my productivity and time management? Did I miss anything? What would you say?
I guess you said most of the things.
I'm getting a second opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like nothing to, yes, something to add? Nothing to add?
The only thing I would add is realistic. You didn't say it earlier because I missed the first part. Is the ability to realistically estimate time.
Yeah, I did say that. Thanks, honey. He said ability to realistically estimate time. Yes, I told a story about how you are not always great at estimating time. I hope you don't mind I used you as the opposite example. But still love you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, love you too. Ekta, how's that? Is that close? Let me know if you have a follow-up question. And says, totally helpful. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, sure. It's a combination of a lot of things. And I usually do the short version, which is I specifically didn't have children. But obviously many people have children, and it's not the only thing I'm doing. But it definitely helps me not have distractions in my day. Ekta says, thanks, Pier Mario. You're a celebrity. All right. We had a question from Clouder. Let's take a look. I've hit the wrong button. Right button. Here it comes. Okay. Question says, I've landed a lot of production UX jobs over the years, often just UI, cloaked under a UX title. The lack of continuity drives me crazy. How can I prevent these surprises at project kickoff? Yeah, it's hard. It almost needs to be worked on way before kickoff. Like by the time you're at kickoff, it's too late. By the time you're at kickoff, they're going to give you a week to come up with some UI or visual design or wireframes, and that's it. You're not going to be able to be like, well, wait a minute, hold on. I've got an entire UX process I'd like us to include. By kickoff, it's too late. The project has been planned. This is the time you're getting. These are the tasks we expect from you. The end. So if this is at a job, I would say we need to ask better questions at the job interview to see if this is the kind of company or team or business that does this. We are going to have an episode just on that, but it's about 6 weeks away. So these could be better job interview questions. What's our UX process? Do designers and developers wait for research findings and insights, or do they just go ahead and build? Let's see, what else can you ask? What was the one I told someone the other day? Oh, now I forgot. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. But if you're already at this job or client or whatever, you have to be part of earliest planning. And sometimes you need your manager to help you out with that. Because by the time kickoff comes, and I went to many of these, especially at Macy's, I would go to a kickoff meeting at Macy's and they would go, okay, UX, you get 2 days for final wireframes starting today. It's Tuesday. We need final wireframes on Thursday. And I was like, do you know what I do? And there was nothing I could do about that because the project had been planned. So you have to work on changing the process at the company, which sometimes they'll try and sometimes they won't, which is why you might need a manager's help to say when these projects are being planned, when these projects are being scoped or a timeline or Gantt chart or whatever is being made, we've got to include more time for the UX process. And that's where you're going to bring in things from episode 116. So that's where you're going to bring in, hey, UX is business intelligence and risk mitigation. Why should we go in with guesses, even pretty guesses, when that is so risky for our company? We're going to spend all this money engineering, building, releasing something that probably is going to have to be fixed or undone later. So I think the secret to this is not expecting that you can fix it at kickoff. If you're being surprised at kickoff, it means you were not involved in earlier project planning, and you have to get involved in earlier project planning. That's what I recommend. Some companies will let you in once you say something. You'll go, hey, well, I'm not getting the right amount of time to do the best job I can do. And Agile Manifesto Principle 5 says give motivated individuals the time and support they need and trust them to get the job done. We can be agile and give me the time and support that I need. I need to estimate my own time. This is what I need. Let's please plan for that. And it's not sprint 0 and it's not sprint 1. It happens before all of these things because UX is not engineering. Engineering works in sprints and they number their sprints. We are doing our work before then. See episode 116. There you go. Okay, this was an anonymous question. Let's take a look. How would you wiggle your way into, and add task analysis related things, an existing process of a team that prefers feature-based agile format, which is unfortunately stifling any significant new improvements we could design? I'm a lone UX contractor stuck between very slow business clients and a wildly fast development team and an odd agile process. I'd probably say episode 116. That's going to be 115 and 116 are probably going to be the things I say the most in 2021. So make it a drinking game if you want. And I am drinking a banana peanut butter smoothie. So it doesn't have to be alcohol, but let's see. Episode 116. Oh, it's thick. Again, this has to do with planning. This has to do with planning, and it's hard. When they're feature-based, they usually don't care about tasks. They don't care about building for customers. That's why episode 116 is about how do we make agile and lean more customer-centric, and how do we make what we do a little more agile and lean. And I think if we can bring these things together, and if you can start talking to your workplace about customer centricity. And again, I'm not going to repeat all of episode 116 now, and you can watch it at 2x because it's kind of long if you understand me. I would take a look at that. I think a lot of your answers are going to be there, but mostly it's about we have to estimate our own time. We have to be brought in earlier in the planning process, and we have to talk to people about the business intelligence and the risk mitigation, because we can claim we're agile, but if we're not using the customer's definitions of done and quality, what are we building? Congratulations, your code was quality, the feature is crap. Is that still quality? So I go in episode 116, I go into how agile and engineers' definitions of quality are usually self-reflective. Hey, my code is good. My code is working. It's quality. Let's release it. But there's nothing that I've seen in agile that says, you know what? We've stopped and looked at the value of this particular feature to customers. And we know, not we're guessing, not we believe it will have a benefit. We know that it has a benefit. And I say, that's our job. We can show you through prototypes and testing and research, is this what people need? Does it have value and benefit? And if it doesn't, or we're going in the wrong direction, we can save companies a lot of time and money. So I think you might have to go in that direction. But remember, not every company wants to hear this, and not every company wants to change, but I still think it's worth the try. And hopefully you can find a sympathetic, agile coach who sees the waste that's happening at this company and wants to change it. All right. Destiny, I've added your question to the list. We have one more anonymous one before I get to yours. It says, question from a dreamer. That sounds dreamy already. What would you advise to a junior user researcher who wants to create a UXR practice or community from scratch? This is my dream, to bring UXR for people and nonprofits in my Caribbean island of Martinique. But this is a non-existent field, and I'm so new and naive. Any thoughts? Thank you. Okay. Really interesting set of questions. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're trying to bring UX research to your world, and that it's really not there right now. Again, I hate to say episode 116 again, but that might help. Because it's all about how the power of good research is not only going to be the business intelligence that the company can use to have better strategies, prioritize features better, not build the wrong things, and risk mitigation, because building the wrong thing is risky. It's expensive. It took time. It took money. And we might have broken customers' trust. Maybe they'll cancel or leave or uninstall. So normally what you have to do, and so also, you're a junior researcher, hopefully you've done some study and some practice. I think what you have to do is find a way to just do a mini project, even if it's a 2-week project, 3-week project, whatever. Find a way to show what UX research can do. Do observational research. Watch 10 people use your website or app or system, and make sure you've written really good questions. And if you're not sure what those are, contact me and we'll write some really good questions. And then you'll be able to come back later and have a little video clip montage and go, here's some places where people are struggling. Here's some places where they didn't really understand what we even wanted them to do here. They had a knowledge gap. See the micro lessons for task analysis. My favorites, the 4 horsemen of bad UX, my registered trademark: frustration, confusion, disappointment, and distraction. Hey, check it out. Here's people using our current system, and here's where they're running into really frustrating stuff, confusing stuff. This could hurt us. This could make these people not want to buy stuff, not come back, not tell friends positive things. And then you start showing this stuff, and then you have to, of course, highlight, we didn't know this. We didn't know this. We might have suspected that something wasn't wrong. We might have received some complaints to customer support. We might have had some surveys that showed that people were unhappy. But I just happened to pick these 10 random people, and look, a bunch of these ran into these problems. These problems are worth fixing. And thanks to research, we knew that. Hey, it only took me a few weeks to be able to give you this list of problems, and here's how I suggest we prioritize them. Go for it. Here's what I think is the worst problem. It affects the most people, or it's going to cost the most to fix if we get it wrong, or however you prioritize things. It's the most urgent. I remember one time at Macy's, they brought me a list of customer complaints that month from the support channel. And I kept reading through them, and it's like, can't pay my credit card bill, can't pay my credit card bill, can't pay my credit card bill, can't pay my credit, because Macy's has their own branded credit card. And I was like, well, this sounds like a bug or a problem. I guess I'll start asking around and see why people can't pay their credit card bill. I guess it was in the app. They wanted to go in the app and be able to pay their credit card bill. And I started asking around. I said, what's up with paying the credit card bill from the app? And someone said, oh, we never built it. I said, okay, but now customer support is wasting hours every day apologizing to people that it doesn't exist and telling them they're going to have to find some other way to pay their bill. Why don't we just build that? That would save customer support time. It would make people happier, and they would feel better about Macy's and their credit card. I don't understand how we didn't do this. So it's good to do that kind of research, and also direct research with humans. So good luck, person in Martinique. I hope to hear back from you on how it goes. Ekta, I see your question too, and we'll get to Destiny's question next. Okay, let's put it up. And Destiny says, how do you demonstrate the value of having UX happen outside of development sprints? Well, I think the first question is, who said it has to happen inside development sprints? That's what we talked about in episode 116. There's something very strange that happened at companies. Agile showed up, and all of a sudden people said, well, UX has to fit into engineering's paradigm. UX has to work in sprints. UX has to start when engineering starts. It's all completely made up. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing, and now, of course, some of these flavors of Agile wrote that in as like their new principles. Oh, yes, UX is done this way, and engineers can do UX. I go through this in episode 116. So, remember, there's nothing that says that UX should be controlled by engineering or under their timeline. You can look at things like dual track agile and tri-track agile, which I talk about in 116, not going to drink. And basically it just shows UX is on a separate track than engineering. Engineering's here doing delivery with all of their sprints and their increments or whatever they like to do. We're over here doing our stuff, and once in a while we feed them because it's an assembly line. Agile is an assembly line. Developers have to build enough stuff for QA to test it. QA has to test enough stuff to say it's ready to release. Agile is a glorified assembly line. We're part of that assembly line too, but we've got to come first. There's nothing that says we have to happen during development sprints. That's why they're called development sprints. I think I need a microphone dropping video. I don't have that. I just have like and scene. I'm actually thinking of getting a physical clapboard because I do this so much. And scene. So engineers have to stop trying to control us and put us into their timing system or whatever. Engineering doesn't control product. Engineering doesn't control marketing. Engineering doesn't control project managers. Engineering doesn't control business strategists. There's no reason we should be controlled by engineering. Engineering shouldn't be controlled by us. Do. Okay, thank you, Aitan, for the microphone emoji. Very good. All right, I hope that helps, Destiny. Good luck with it. And Ekta says, how would you test if users trust us as a company? Ooh, I just did this. It's super. Oh, Destiny says, I think this happens at startups led by developers, so they run every department. Yeah, and remember, there's lots of books that make it sound like the world, Ekta, we'll get to your question in a moment. The world revolves around development. Even things, so again, in episode 116, I talk about how the idea of the MVP was like, hey, you just need to build a small version of your idea so you can put it out to the public and see if people like it. The concept makes sense, but if you know anything about UX, you're going, well, why didn't we prototype it and put it in front of testing peeps? And that way engineers never had to build it just in case it's garbage. So there's weird stuff where because of some of these books that came out really in the early 2010s, I'm talking 10 years ago or almost 10 years ago, about how to do things the way cool startups do, we think that now everything is about engineering. We can't know anything until engineering builds it and releases it to the public. And it turns out we can. Prototype it, test it. Now we know. So so startups that are very dev-centered or feature-centered, it's funny, if you ask them if they care about their customers, they say yes. And then I would say, how? How do you show that you care about your customers? How do you show that you're invested in making sure that you're delivering value and benefit the way the customer perceives value and benefit? How do you know what the customer finds to be valuable? Like, oh yeah, well, we'll release it and then we'll find out, wow, that's really slow and reactive. Really? You're going to do all that work and then wait all that time for a survey or to check if we have complaints? That's reactive and that's slow. And we're turning people into guinea pigs and lab test subjects. Is that agile? Is that lean? That's what episode 116 says. Charlene says, ha ha ha, the retrospective sessions we have is all about what and how the development team feels. Oh, feelings. Feelings are so beautiful. All right, so let's get back to Ekta's question. Thanks for letting me take a little side trip there. How would you test if people trust you as a company? So usually what I do with that is I do some observational studies, and you can do this sitting with people if it's safe, or you can do it remotely, like if they share their screen in Zoom. Let's say your company has a website that people tend to go to before they buy from you or download your app, and they're just getting to know you. You could bring them to you could first bring them to like a competitor website, and so they don't know what's going on, and say, here's a company that seems to offer whatever, or here's a company. How do you know if you trust these people? We just did this. We had people search for something. We told them they were going to buy customized promotional products, like printed pens and whatever. We told them, go to Google, search for a certain type of customized promotional product, and then let's take a look at what comes up in search. And then we said, okay, which of these search results seem trustworthy to you, or which ones seem untrustworthy? And we learned which ones, and we asked why. Then we said, let's go to one of these sites. Now, sometimes it was our client and sometimes it was their competitor. So either way, we win. We're learning stuff. They would get to the site and we would say, hey, sorry to interrupt. Before you go too far, quick gut check. What do you trust about this site? What makes you not trust this site? And some people would say like, oh, well, I see their Google ratings here, so that makes me trust them. Or, wow, their logo looks really unprofessional. I'm not sure they trust them. Aren't they going to design my pen? If they can't design their logo, maybe they can't design my pen. We found people trusted and didn't trust for all kinds of reasons. And you might think some of them were bad reasons, but it doesn't matter. They're real reasons to these people. So we definitely asked people along the way, but we specifically said, what do you trust or not trust about this site? Or how do you decide if you trust this site? Or how do you decide if you trust this item? And because we took them both to our client websites and to sometimes more than one competitor, we were clearly not showing any favorites. We just, in some cases, they didn't know which one was our client. We would just say, all right, let's try this site for your customized item. What's your impression here? And so that was a really good way. And we ended up with a nice video montage of people like, oh, here's why I don't trust you. Or here's why I don't trust the competitors. We kind of put them all together. Ekta says, we're the participants strangers. So we tried to find roughly half part of the participants being people who had been to our client's website before, and roughly half the participants of people who had never been to our client's website before. So that way, in some cases, we got people who were like, oh yeah, those guys, yeah, I've been here before, or oh yeah, those guys, I've ordered from them. Or sometimes they were like, oh yeah, I've never ordered from them, or I don't like them, or whatever. So we had, and that's a good way to do it too, because some of the people have familiarity with your site. Maybe they already trust it. So they're not the best bucket of people to pull from. If you just pull from your customers, and especially people who've bought from you, they probably had some trust for you. So in this case, if you really want to measure trust, it's probably good to get people who haven't been to your site or used your system, and get them to maybe look at a couple of competitors. What do you trust or not trust about them? Here's another site I want you to look at. What do you trust or not trust about them? And you don't say which one is your client or company. You just say, hi, I'm Ekta, and I'm a UX researcher, learning more about how people trust or don't trust different websites or apps that have to do with being more eco. You don't have to say which company you're with. You absolutely don't. Depending upon what you've written in your consent form, they might figure it out, but you don't have to say. You're just checking this out. All right, let me catch up with the chat room. Clouder says, the best clients I've worked with respect UX and the importance of it, and don't position it in a ridiculous hierarchy structure. That's still a dream in many cases. Still a dream. Charlene says, I did that type of testing once, and we also went out on the streets in West London to ask and observe those beautiful old days when I was doing heavy research. I know, the memories of the old days. So yeah, that's how I sometimes do it, but I'm usually working with digital products, so I can usually have people share their screen, bring them to a website, and ask them some questions. But I usually try not to give away which company I'm with, and I don't necessarily show that company first. Could be first, could be second, could be third, but I like to end up getting what they trust and didn't trust on multiple sites that might have something similar to what our company does. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left and a little bit of shake. So I'm caught up on questions, so if you have questions, I'm happy to take them. Your question would be next. Remember that if you have a question and you can't make the show, these are always archived on YouTube in the Office Hours playlist. You can find them later. All of the questions are in the description, though they are not time-stamped because I have no time for that. And what else can I tell you? And you can always use this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, deltacx.link/ask. And that way I get the questions early and I'll load them up and yours will be answered among the first. Yes, there's ice in here because it's summer. Whew. Long day, everybody. How about you? I don't get memes, everybody. I must be too old. Y'all are sending me memes. If there's any questions, please do ask them. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything, and I take questions from you when you ask them, and they're free. No charge at all. And we drink if I say episode 116. Hey, who wants to try the new Darren emoji? If you are a paid subscriber on the channel, you should be able to use the new Imhotep emoji. iTown says, not a question, but I used to always complain about fake UX cases for job applications, but yesterday a company told me they have 2 fake case studies as part of their interview process. What do you mean design challenges as a fake case study, that they have a design challenge? Okay, Ekta is sending the emoji. Let's see if it works. Yes, it's Darren doing Imhotep. Yeah, design challenges are common, Aitan, but I'm totally against them. So yeah, 2 of them is not good. So Aitan, really quickly, and you might have seen our episodes on this, but definitely turn them down if these projects are related to what this company really does. If it's related to what this company really does, they're probably trying to get free work, and you should just say no. You should say, I get paid to solve real company problems. This ain't that. Let's see. We've got Charlene question. We've got Nikki question. Hi, Nikki. We've got Destiny question. Ekta says Darren emoji is too small. Yeah, unfortunately the emojis are small when they're run over our faces. I can't make them bigger. That's what my system does. Okay, we've got 3 questions queued up. Let's yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that. Charlene is sending the Darren emoji. Okay, so let's put up Charlene's question, with or without Darren emoji. And Charlene said, what's a proto-persona? Imhotep. A proto-persona is usually what people call, or sometimes provisional persona, is what people call a persona that they mostly guessed at. If they have not done the right generative qualitative research to have made personas, sometimes they try to dig up marketing demographic data or other information and try to come up with a persona based on that. Sometimes it's just made completely from guesses, like in Lean UX. So it's like totally guess at this persona and run with that. And usually to kind of let people know that these personas are a bit speculative or assumptive or not quite ready for total action yet. They're an untested hypothesis. We call them proto or provisional personas. But to me, that means that we recognize that they are based in guesses or not based in the right information, and we should instead pursue the right information so we can make meaningful, actionable, and helpful personas. If you can't make them, maybe just don't make personas. We've done that show before a couple of times. Okay, so that's what's a proto-persona. Now we've got Nikki's question. And Nikki says, hi, Debbie. I'm not familiar with Lean UX. Can you elaborate on why it's not good? Are there any cases that it can be good? Well, great. I'm glad you're asking that here. So Lean UX is a giant flaming pile of garbage, and I believe that there is never, ever a reason to use Lean UX. Now, I've got lots of other content about this on the channel, so I'm not going to go into the long version here, but you can find episode, 47? Basically, if you go to YouTube and you type Delta CX Lean space UX, you'll get all the videos I've done on why Lean UX is garbage. Some of them are 5 minutes long, some of them are an hour long, and of course, episode 115, worth drinking to. Episode 115 goes there. Yeah, it's poop. Episode 115 is a bit on the long side. It runs about 2 hours, but you can listen to it fast if you find you understand me well at high speed. But I really go there on the whole Lean UX thing. In short, Lean UX misunderstands what Lean is all about, which I explain in episode 116, but Lean UX misunderstands what Lean is all about. It takes the incorrect definition of Lean from the Lean Startup, and it thinks that the best way to do UX and be lean is to cut corners and skimp on things. Have everybody on your team do research, because then it'll go faster and then it'll involve everybody and you don't have to hold a meeting about what happened. Everybody was part of it. Work with proto-personas. Just guess at some stuff and go fast. You'll figure out later if you were right. And I go, wow, that's really risky. And in episode 116, I talk about the original definition of lean before lean startup. There was a definition of lean before that, and it was about, among other things, reducing defects, giving people less defective product, giving people less junk. And if we're guessing at stuff, and if we're just trying to go fast and guess at stuff, we probably are giving people some serious junk. So in general, I find lean UX as a non-viable model that should never be done. Because if you were to do it the way it's described in the book, you would never do any work alone. And anytime there was anything UX-y, you would have to get everybody together, do it by committee, do it by workshop. It's why a lot of newbies are curious about lean UX, because you don't have to be good at UX to do lean UX. You just have to be able to get together the whole team and have everybody guess at it. And so newbies who don't want people to notice how new they are and how they haven't developed a lot of skills yet are like, oh, cool, like I can do this and nobody will notice I kind of stink at UX. I'm just so new at it. So be careful. And good luck. Let's take a look at Destiny's question. I see more questions coming in. I can't stay too late, everybody. I do have a call coming up. And Destiny says, how do you refine or expand your research skills once you read Darren's book list? Yeah, Darren's got a lot of books. I have not read most of those books. I do recommend Michelle Ronson's courses for improving your research skills, but I know that they are too expensive for some people. That's curiositytank.com. Hashtag not sponsored. She does not pay me for any of these. Research to me is all about practice, and it's about having that coach who can review your work at every step. That's what I do with the people I coach. So they write a research plan, I check it. I make them improve it. We look at it again. We see if there's room for improvement. Then they're writing their screener survey. I'm looking to see if there's room for improvement. To me, this is something where you have to be trying it out with a free mentor or a paid coach who can look at your work and go, aha, here's where this could have been improved. Try it again. Usually then, by the time we eventually get through all of that planning stuff, then they do their first interview and they send it to me, and I send them a reaction video and go, ooh, God, nope, don't say that. Ooh, why'd you say that? That wasn't on the question list. What are you doing? And then they try again. We watch another video. So it's a whole thing. Thank you for the heart. Hopefully that helps. I think expanding research skills, books are great, but you just have to do it. And it's best when someone is reviewing your work so that you can figure out, where could I do this better? Because if you just practice research, but you don't have that experienced coach looking in on you, you don't even know what you don't even know. So that's like an oops. We've got Robert here, and let's take Robert's question and put it up on the big, hold on. I'm having a copy paste challenge. Copy. There we go. Paste. All right, let's put it up on the screen. Robert, with his lovely photo, says, hi, Debbie. What are you working on these days? What vertical and what are your current challenges that you find difficult to overcome? In the Delta CX world, I'm working on e-commerce, which I've been doing since 1997, so not too challenging for me, going pretty well. In my other job, we are focused on the South African market and working with South African clients, and that's very new to me. It's not even that it's a specific vertical. It's more that I'm so new to South Africa, South African culture, South African people, South African languages. And so that it's a challenge. I think I can overcome it. And mostly it's just by asking a lot of questions. What did that word mean? Why can't I say that thing? What's going on here? And so that's probably my main challenge right now, is just becoming more familiar with South Africa, because my other job is focused on South Africa. But that, I don't know. I otherwise don't really have any challenges. What about you, Robert? What are you working on, and what's vexing you? Charlene says, let us come together in a room and do some research by talking to each other when it's safe. Let's see. And we've got a question from Ekta, and then we're going to have to call it a day since we are past my usual time. We're usually here just an hour. We end around now. So this will be our last question. Did I miss an anonymous question? No. Okay, good. All questions will have been answered. All right. Ekta says... Seth says, you're doing great. Don't mind us South Africans. Seth, I miss you. I hope you're feeling better. Hope we'll see you tomorrow. Ekta says, a lot of hiring managers say they want to see the process. I wonder, what exactly do they mean? Is it like a general example? Doesn't process depend on the project, stage, task at hand, goal? Yeah, but remember that seeing your process goes to your thinking or your strategic approach to the project, or the limitations that were put on you by the people at your job that you couldn't control. And that's where storytelling comes in. So you could say, hey, based on this project, I should have interviewed 20 people. I should have asked them about this. I should have watched them do this. But since my company didn't make time and budget for that, here's what I did do. And you have the opportunity to use storytelling in your portfolio to help me know that you do know what the process is. You do know what you're supposed to have done, or you do know what would have been better to do, or what would have been more strategic to do, or things like that, versus what you probably ended up doing, which very often is, we talked to 4 people and we made 6 personas, and I'm going like, no. So even where you have projects where you didn't get to do things the way that should have been done, or matches best practices or the like, you can use storytelling in your portfolio to say, we should have done this, but due to time and budget, because you don't have to blame anyone in particular, that just looks yucky. Due to time and budget, here's what we did do, and here's the outcomes of that. So you do have to tell the story somewhat honestly. You can't make up aspects of the project that didn't happen, but you can certainly say, here's what we should have done, here's what we did do, or here's what we did, and here's what I would do differently today. I think these are all reasonable to do. They speak to process, they speak to your approach, they speak to how you think about a project, how you look at what is the problem or question, or what are we trying to learn, and here's what you went for. You know, you and I have talked about that privately, and I think you got a little bit caught up in the project you were in, where you forgot for a moment that you really have to look at, did we solve the problem for the customer, rather than did we build a cool onboarding? And cool onboarding sounds cool, and lots of boot camps want people to build cool onboardings, but the customer, for the most part, presses skip on a cool onboarding. So remember to stay focused on that user, that customer, and their process and their workflow. Did we make something better or easier for them? Did we complicate it? Did the 4 horsemen show up? Registered trademark. Frustration, confusion, disappointment, or distraction. You know, sometimes some of these onboardings that we skip, they're really a distraction. They are keeping me from doing what I came to do on your website, in your app. We wouldn't do these things in stores. That's what I always remind somebody. If I walked into a store, somebody wouldn't come up to me at the door and block me and go, do you know that we have shoes over there and we have pajamas on sale? And do you know? Like, they don't do that. They come up to you and they go, how can I help you? Or what are you looking for? Which is customer-centric speak for, how can I help you accomplish your task efficiently and happily? We don't do these things in real life. We shouldn't do them in websites and apps. I hope that helps. Thanks to everybody for a super adventure today in the world of Office Hours Ask Me Anything. We do this every Tuesday. Once a month, I do 2 of them to accommodate other time zones. And once a month, we have Darren and Dr. Nick join for the Three Musketeers Ask Us Anything. Normally, that is the second Tuesday, which would be next Tuesday, but Darren's unavailable. So we have moved Darren and Dr. Nick 2 weeks from today to, I guess that would be August 17th. So if you are the Darren and Dr. Nick fan, mark your calendars. Don't forget, you can always check the calendar, deltacx.link/events. We'll tell you all of the stuff we have planned for the channel so that you can add it to your googly calendar and or just put in a reminder. So there you go. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. I'm going to play us out of here since I do have another call in about 40 minutes. And I guess after that, I get to go to sleep and start again at 0 o'clock. Seth, I hope we'll see you tomorrow. But if not, I understand. Just make sure you send us a note so we know to not look for you, because we were looking for you today. We miss you. I hope everybody's going to feel well. I read scary stories about coronavirus today, so I'm reminding everybody to please wear 37 masks or any good prime number of masks, and to continue avoiding people where possible. Do not run out and start hugging everybody and go to Disney World. Even if you get the vaccination, it's still very important to play it safe, no matter what local laws or recommendations are. It's the best I can tell you. I want all of you to be around to join me on Office Hours. So with that, tomorrow our live stream is going to be what should our roles and titles be called? Even though I think I already have some good ideas, I want to hear what you think. So we're going to do a Miro board. You don't need a Miro account, and we're going to brainstorm what should UX designers be called? What should be called? Because some of our titles suck, like product designer, boo, production designer. Everybody be well, catch you soon, and have a good day or evening wherever you are. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are